So magandang araw sa inyong lahat and welcome to the third week of our discussion here in DISS. So today, ang pag-uusapan natin will be the continuation of our topic last time, which is about the emergences of social sciences and its disciplines. So today, ang pag-uusapan natin is we will be just discussing the rest of the branches of social sciences. So last time, recap lang tayo that pinag-usapan natin yung anthropology, history, economics, and geography. But today, we will be talking about the rest or yung natitirang lima, okay, na branches ng social sciences. So as we all know that social sciences is a body of scientific knowledge. That is why it is so important that we need to understand the parts of this body so that we were able to understand how this body works. Okay? So, kailangan maintindihan muna natin yung iba't ibang parts or iba't ibang branches ng social sciences para maintindihan natin ng pangkalahatan what the social sciences is for. So today, we will be talking about linguistic, political science, sociology, psychology, and demography. So the first thing is linguistic. Ayan. So linguistic came from the Latin word lingua, meaning language. So it studies the nature of language through an examination of the formal properties of natural language, grammar, and the process of language acquisition. It is very important that we need to understand the process, or we need to understand the nature or the components of language. Kasi lahat naman ng tao, they speak a certain language. They might speak different kinds of languages, but every one of us has languages or has a certain language to speak. Okay? So, kaya nga, importante na maintindihan natin yung language because through language, we were able to identify the culture of a community. We were able to identify the personality of a person, as well as we were able to recognize or identify the socio-economic status of a certain family. So, ganun po ka-importante ang language kasi through language, mas maiintindihan natin kung ano ang description or kung ano ang feature ng isang community. So, paano ba nagsimula or saan nagsimula ang pag-aaral ng language? Started way back, okay, during the earliest time, nung meron pang mga sophists na tinatawag natin. So, these sophists were the classical Greek, okay, who are young, wealthy, and educated people. Educated and very wise when it comes to public speaking. Okay, alam niyo ba dati, during the earliest time, okay, kapag ka magaling kang magsalita, kapag ka magaling kang mag-compose ng mga salita na hindi mabulaklakin pero may mga malalamang konteksto, okay, katumbas ka ng isang matalinong tao. Okay? Ngayon, kapag ka ikaw ay mag-a-apply sa isang mataas na posisyon or sa isang governmental position, you need to have an impressive resume. Dapat nakita nyo nakapag-aral ka sa ibang bansa, okay? Meron kang political experience, but you know what? During their times, isang qualification po, okay, ang pagiging magaling sa public speaking for you to have a public position in the government. Okay? Kasi during their time, okay, uso kasi sa panahon nila yung pagdedebate. Ngayon, nagpipilihan ng mga tao kapag may concert, kapag may laban si Manny Pacquiao, or kapag may laro ang PBA sa SMX. Pero noon, alam nyo ba, pinipilahan po ang mga tickets para makanood ang mga tao sa isang mga debate events. Okay? Kasi ganoon po nila binibigyan ng halaga. Okay? Ang public speaking during their time. Yan. So, doon nagsimula ang pag-aaral at pagbibigay importansya in studying the language as an academic discipline. And as well as, okay, there was this linguists, okay, may mga linguists na nag-travel around the world. Nag-travel sila sa Europe, ayan, sa India, and then sa Persia. And they were able to find out that there were actually different kinds of languages that are very different from one another. But then, they were able to discover that these different languages only came from this one language, which is the Proto-Indo-European. Okay, but I just want to let you know na ito ay hypothetical lang. Hindi ito talaga yung totoo. Okay, di siya napatunayan na as in talagang itong Proto-Indian European language ang pinanggalingan ng lengguwahe ng lahat. This is just an hypothetical origin of where these languages came from. So, doon siya nagsimula. Ngayon, may iba't ibang subfields ang language. First, we have phonetics, okay? So, phonetics, it study the speech sounds, okay? So, magkaiba ang pronunciation sa sounds, okay? Pag sinabing pronunciation, paano mo binigkas ang isang salita as a whole? But when we say speech sounds, paano siya lumabas at nag-articulate sa bibig mo? Okay? So, like for example, the letter A. Okay, for example, ang letter A. So, paano mo i-sound? Ano ang phoneme ng letter A? It is not A, but it is A. Okay? How about the letter B? Okay, ano ang sound o anong phoneme ng letter B? It is B. Okay? Like for example, diba, in the word success. Okay, sa word na success, ang letter C ba, pinopronounce mo ba siya or sinasound ba siya ng dila mo, okay, as success, din, di ba? So, ang letter C inside the word success, okay, ang sound niya doon ay K. Okay, hindi naman C. So, that is what we call phonetics. Ngayon, when we say phonology, ito naman ay pag-aaral ng speech sound patterns in different kinds of or in different languages from different provinces or nations. Okay? Then, we have morphology. Morphology is study of how words are categorized or form. So, for example, ang salitang disconnected. Okay? The word disconnected. Ang salitang disconnected, iisang salita siya, okay, kapag binigkas natin. But if you will be using morphology, it is actually divided into 3. Okay? This. Okay? Ang word na this, it is a prefix, okay, which means nothing. Or it is a negative prefix, okay, na dinudugtong natin sa isang bagay kapag wala, kapag negative, kapag hindi pwede. Okay, this is a word. It is a prefix, then followed by the word connect. Okay? So, it is another word, and then we have the suffix, which is ed. Okay, ed, ginagamit natin siyang suffix, okay, for those words that are in the past tense. So, the word disconnected is a one word, but then in morphology, okay, tatlong salita siyang pinagsama-sama to form one meaning. Ayan. Then, we have syntax. Ang syntax naman, study of how words are combined to form a sentence. Okay? So, paano mong pinagsasama-sama ang isang salita? Okay? How do you use effectively, how do you effectively use a certain words or certain words to form an effective sentence. Okay? So, for example, yung mga subject-verb agreement. I love ice cream. Yung word na I, yung word na love, at yung word na ice cream, pinagsama-sama ko siya sa isang sentence na nagbuo ng isang maganda at isang meaning. Then, we have semantics. Okay? Ang semantics naman, it is a study of meaning-making. Meaning-making. So, sa semantics, ito ay word per word meaning. Okay? Like for example, yung word na policeman. Yung word na policeman sa USA ay same meaning lang ng word, ng policeman sa Pilipinas ay same lang ng word ng cop or COP sa USA. So, magkakaiba ng words pero magkakaparehas ng meaning. Semantics yung tawag natin doon. Ito yung semantics, ito yung pagbibigay ng meaning, okay, sa iba't ibang salita. Okay, for example, ano pa, apartment. Apartment sa USA, ang tawag sa isang maliit na bahay. Ngayon, kapag pumunta ka ng Europe, ang tawag sa apartment nila ay flat. Okay, so magkaibang salita pero iisa ng meaning. So sa semantics, pinag-aaralan nila yung meaning ng iba't ibang mga salita. Meanwhile, sa pragmatics, it studied the language context. Ibig sabihin, sa pragmatics, pinag-aaralan dito ang isang buong konsepto ng isang buong sentence or paragraph. For example, yung salitang salitang crack the window. Okay, so for example, the word crack the window. So if we will be using the semantics, ang gagawin natin dyan is bibigyan natin ng meaning word per word, yung sentence na to. So ano bang ibig sabihin ng crack? Okay, sirain. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng window? Okay, bintana. So sirain yung bintana. Pero if we will be listening carefully to what the speaker said, okay, crack the window, tapos pagtingin mo sa kanya, yung boses ng salita niya is naiinitan siya. Ibig sabihin, ang konteksto pala ng crack the window is buksan mo ang bintana. Okay, ano pa? Hand me the phone or hand me the phone. If you will be using semantics, okay, magbibigay tayo ng meaning word per word. Hand, meaning kamay. Me, ako. Phone, telepono. So, kung bubuhay na siya sa isang salita, kamay, ako, telepono. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Okay, kaya nga gumagamit tayo ng pragmatics, okay, para pag-aralan natin ano ba yung konteksto ng isang salita. Konteksto ng isang sentence or ng konteksto ng isang paragraph na may inclusions na iba't ibang mga semantics. Okay? So, ibig sabihin ng hand me the phone, hindi yung kamay, ako, telepono. But ang ibig sabihin ng hand me the phone in context is iabot mo sa akin ang telepono. Okay? Okay. Ayan. So, those are the different subfields of linguistic. Then, next we have the political science. So, ang political science, okay, so gamit ito sa Greek word na polity, which means a person who participates in the polis. Pag sinabi po nating polis, it means state or city. So, political science is a study of social arrangement to maintain peace and order within a society. So, nanggaling na mismo doon sa salitang political science that how can we be able to maintain peace and order? It is when the people participate in the polis. When we say participate, it is in a way of partaking in decision making. Magiging maayos or magiging peaceful at full of order ang isang state or city when the people participate in the decision making na meron sa isang state. Okay? And aside from partaking in the decision making, it is when their decisions, okay, are being arranged with one another. Ibig sabihin, there is an arrangement or sa madaling salita, nagkakainti-intindihan sila. Nagkakasundo-sundo sila in the decision making or in the decision that they made. So, peace and order is achievable in a society if the people participate in the decision making and when they mutually agree with the decisions that they made. Okay? So, hindi lang siya basta-basta na may iba't ibang decision na nag-a-arise. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng peace and order kapag yung decision na nag-a-arise is pinagkakasundo-sundo ng mga tao inside the community. Okay? So, wala kasing sense na ang dami mong desisyon, ang dami mong gusto, ang dami mong opinion, pero hindi naman kayo nagkakasundo-sundo sa isa. So, it is very important para magkaroon ng isang maayos na community is merong arrangement na nagaganap. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so how does political science emerge? Syempre nanggaling po ito sa mga Griego, which we will be talking about later on. Okay? So ngayon, may iba't ibang variables tayong pinag-aaralan in social or in political science. First, we have the politics. Ang politics, it is the process of using power in the government. Okay? Ito yung kung paano mo ginamit yung kapangyarihan na meron ka inside the government. Meanwhile, when we say power, it is the means. Okay? Means or paraan. Okay? For the government to rule the people. So, ang power po, hindi po pwedeng i-abolish ang power sa government. Kasi kapag wala pong power, ang mga tao sa gobyerno, hindi po sila susundin ng mga tao. Okay? Di ba, kaya ka lang sumusunod sa parents mo kasi meron silang power over you. Okay? Meron silang kapangyarihang ipalpalayasin ka. Meron silang kapangyarihan na hindi ka bigyan ng baon kapag papasok ka sa school. 'Diba? They have the power over you. At isang malaking bagay po ang kapangyarihan in ruling a society. Okay? But, okay, this power, ganoon naman talaga, 'di ba? Lahat ng kapangyarihan kailangan gamitin sa magandang kaparaanan. Okay? So, this power must have this proper process to be used. Okay? Dapat yung kapangyarihan na meron ka as a government person or as an official in the government must be used for the common good, not for the selfish sake. Okay, naiintindihan natin? Magkakaroon ng magandang gamit ang kapangyarihan kapag ginamit ito sa ikabubuti ng masa. Okay, hindi sa ikabubuti lang ng sarili or ng certain group of people. Okay? So, isipin ninyo, okay? Kung walang government, ang government bureaucracy or a body of people that provides a system of rule over its territory and for its people. Mahalaga po ang government. Government is very important because without the government, there will be disorder. Kung walang government, walang power, walang politics, and without these three variables, it will result into a disorder. Okay, for example, anong disorder yung sinasabi ko? Yung The Purge. Diba? So, sa movie na The Purge, diba? It is 12 hours ata na walang presence ng gobyerno. Okay, so anong naging resulta ng ganong klaseng community? Magulo. Patayan, nakawan, siraan. Okay, magulong-magulo. There will be disorder if there will be no government. Okay? So, yan ang tatlong variables. But, good government, okay, comes with the proper use of power. Ayan. So, next, how did this political science emerge? Nag-emerge po ito during the time of Aristotle. Okay, or Aristotle. So, Aristotle, he wrote the book entitled Politics. Okay? Itong libro na to na Politics na to, it is actually, a pioneering book in the field of political inquiry. Nakapaloob po sa librong Politics, okay, yung ideal government and the ideal type of leadership behind it. Okay, so during that time, pakasi nito nila Aristotle, panahon pa ito ng mga hari at ng mga statesmen or noble people. So ngayon, itong si Aristotle, he come up with these principles, okay, on the secrets on how a good leadership will lead into a good government. Okay, so sinabi dito sa libro ni Aristotle, ano bang klaseng mga leaders dapat? Okay, ang meron ng isang gobyerno. Okay, kaya nga he is also termed as the father of ancient political science. And also in the book of Politics by Aristotle, he also included there that magsasucceed ang isang city kapag merong isang gobyerno na kino-consider ang participation ng mga tao. Okay? Kaya nga si Aristotle, he is a proponent of democracy. Okay? Kasi during their time ni Aristotle kasi, absolute monarchy ang type ng government na meron sila. When we say absolute monarchy, the polis or the city is being headed by a king. Okay? And the king has the absolute rule over the people. So there is no legislative branch of government, walang mga senador, walang mga judge, walang trial. So kapag nagkaroon, for example, nagnakaw ka ng isang pirasong monay, okay, ita-trial yon sa harap ng hari. Ngayon, no matter kung gaano kabigat yung iyong kasalanan, depende sa hari kung anong klaseng parusang ibibigay niya sa'yo. Okay? So, lahat ng ideas in economy, in taxes, okay, in housing, in business, yun ay hawak-hawak ng hari. Kaya nga sinabi neto ni Aristotle na para maging maganda, para maging successful ang isang bansa o isang lugar, dapat, okay, may participation at binibigyan ng privilege ang mga tao na mag-participate in the government. Kasi most naman ng components ng society ay tao. So, it will be a better idea if the people, if the people will be a participant in the society. Kasi sila lang din naman na makikinabang in the end. Okay? So, may iba't ibang subfields political science. First, we have the domestic politics. So, dito, pinag-aaralan dito ang mga public opinion, elections, national and local governments. So, these people who study domestic politics, they actually study on the different solutions, okay, na nag-range saan sa mga issues tulad ng personal rights, freedom, social welfare, healthcare, education, legislation, law enforcement, problema sa natural resources ng isang bansa o ng isang local government. Okay? So, siya ay nasa loob lang. Lahat ng issue na meron sa isang local government, local city, or national city, okay, yun ay pinag-aaralan ng mga tao in the domestic politics. Then, we have comparative politics. So, dito naman, there is a comparison or analysis on the similarities and differences between among countries. Ano ang pinagkaiba at pinagkakatulad ng gobyerno ng Japan at ng Pilipinas? Okay, saan sila nagkakatulad? Saan sila nagkakaiba? Bakit ganito ang ekonomiya ng Japan? Bakit ganito ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas? Ano kaya ang dahilan? Okay? Meron kayang factor na pwede nating gayahin yung policy o system ng Japan para maging ganito din tayo. Okay? Something like that. Then, we have international relations. Sa international relations naman, it focuses on the study of political relationship and interaction between and among countries. Okay? So, dito nagkakaroon ng relationship in diplomacy. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng relationship of arms control and alliance between two or more countries. Okay? So, for example, tayo and China. Okay? So, there are actually international relations officers, okay, na nag-aaral on how does the Philippines could create relationship with other nations. Okay? Kasi hindi po natin kayang mabuhay na mag-isa. We need, of course, the companion and the help and the alliance of other more powerful nations. Okay? Kaya may mga taong nag-aaral dito kung paano tayo makakapag-build ng relationship sa ibang mga bansa. Because they could become future investors ng businesses sa Pilipinas. They could be our alliance when it comes to war matters, arms control, okay, something like that. Then, we have public administration. So, pinag-aaralan naman dito ang national and local governance and bureaucracy. So, more likely, ito ay services in the local government. Then, we have the public law. So, if you are wanting to become a lawyer, a policeman, a judge, okay, so, they examines the legal system, civil rights, and criminal justice. So, doon ka sa public law na tinatawag natin. Then, we have sociology. Okay? So, sa sociology, yan, galing daw ito sa salitang socius ng ibig sabihin ay friend or companion. So, it studies the structure of a society and how does those structures work and relate to one another. Okay, so ganon ang pinag-aaralan ng sociology. It studies everything about the society and how these things or how these factors affect, okay, the society. And how does these factors affect one another. So, ano yung mga factors na yun na pasok sa pag-aaral ng sociology? We have the race, okay, yellow race, the red race, sa tinatawag na search yan. Okay, we have the class, gender, okay, culture, religion. Okay, so ito ang emotion. Okay, so ang recitation ninyo is I want you to search, okay, on the different races, okay, na meron sa buong mundo. Okay, na sinasabi ko kanina. Ayan. So, we have the class, gender, culture, religion, belief systems, and government. Okay, so, you just need to put a private comment kapag magpapasa na kayo ng inyong activity. Put a private comment sa inyong activity for the answers on the different races, okay, in the world. Hindi ito yung race na car race, motor race, okay, ito yung red race, yellow race, okay, na sinasabi ko. So, you just need to search for it. Okay? So, saan nag-emerge, okay, ang social or ang sociology? Nag-emerge ito during the Industrial Revolution. So, ano meron sa Industrial Revolution? This is when, okay, the farmers turned into factory workers. It is when nagkaroon ng big transition from farming or agriculture into industries or factories. So, because of that, anong nangyari? Dahil sa nagkaroon ng improvement in our nagkaroon ng improvement in the industries, si mama at si papa, okay, from the provinces, lumipat papuntang syudad, so it affected, okay, the family or the quality of the family as well as with the behavior of the children. So, yun ay pasok pagdating sa pag-aaral ng sociology. But then, we have Auguste Comte. Si Auguste Comte ang nag-coin ng term, okay, ng sociology way back noong 1838. Okay, so sinabi niya na magkakaroon lang tayo ng idea para mapadevelop ang society if we know how does it operates. For example, you will know how to improve your family if you know your role as a family member. Mapapa-improve mo yung relationship mo sa parents mo or sa mga kapatid mo kapag alam mo yung role mo bilang isang kapatid o bilang isang anak. Okay? So, mapapa-improve ang isang government kapag alam ng mga taga-husgado, alam ng mga senador, alam ng mga kongresista, okay, kung ano ang role nila in the government. So, we were only able to improve our society or the society that we are in if we only understood the roles that we have in the society. Okay? So, ano-ano mga subfields natin dito? So, we have the applied sociology coming from the word itself. Ito ay ginagamit dito ang kung paano maia-apply ang iba't ibang principles and theories in sociology. Then, we have the urban sociology. It studies the interactions of urban people, okay, towards one another. So, pag sinabi natin urban, these are the areas in the city. For example, the Manila, Makati, Taguig, yan ay mga urban. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, magkaiba, tama? Tayo ay mga probinsyano tayo, di ba? So, magkaiba ang lifestyle ng mga taga Makati sa mga taga Alfonso. Magkaiba ang lifestyle ng mga taga Makati sa mga taga Amadeo. Okay? Ang mga taga Makati or mga taga Taguig, kapag nagkakape, Starbucks agad. Tama? Pero ikaw, na taga Alfonso, kapag gusto mo magkape, anong gagawin mo? Kukunin mo lang, okay, yung hinarvest mong kape, okay, sa bakuran ninyo. Ayan. So, magkaiba. So, it studies on how does people in the cities behave. Okay? Pagdating sa pamilya, pagdating sa family, pagdating sa government, pagdating sa education. Okay? So, then we have the rural sociology. Ito naman, they study the social life of people in the provinces or in the rural areas. Okay? So, magkaiba na magkaiba. Okay? So, next. Okay. So, another thing din. Okay? So, ano-ano kaya, no, ang mga napapansin ninyong behavior ng mga taga-urban sa mga taga-rural? So, then, pinag-aaralan yun siyaan. Then, we have the cultural sociology. It analyzes the development of social institutions, norms, and practices. So, paano mapapadevelop at mapapreserve yung mga norms, values, and practices natin as a Filipino. So, yan ay nasa cultural sociology. Okay? So, then we have medical sociology. Kadugtong lang niya yan. Medical sociology, it examines the societal effects of medicine to people. Okay? Mapapansin nyo ba, bakit ganun, no? Nagiging advanced naman tayo when it comes to medicine. Pero bakit ganun? Bumababa yung edad, okay, ng mga taong namamatay. Diba? Nagiging advanced naman sa medicine, pero bakit ganun? Normal na lang na nagiging maigsi lang ang lifespan ng mga tao, advanced naman ng medicine. So, yan ang pinag-aaralan doon. Okay? Then, we have the sociology of education. It studies how does the institutions in the society affects the educational system. For example, paano nakaka-apekto ang socio-economic system sa pag-aaral ng isang bata. Diba? So, ang kahirapan ba, hadlang pa rin ba siya sa pag-aaral o sa edukasyon? Diba? So, paano nakakaapekto ang culture sa education? Diba? Kasi sometimes ang culture nagiging nagiging factors yan in bullying. Diba? Meron ka lang kaklase na pabisaya magsalita. Okay, hindi naman masama maging Bisaya, pero bakit ganun? Diba? Kapag ka nakarinig tayo ng Bisaya, pinagtatawanan natin. And because of cultural differences, it somehow gives an effect in the people involved doon sa situation na nagkukos at nakakalungkot, nagkukos ng bullying. Okay? So, next, we have political sociology. Ito ay more on the social structure affects and influences politics. Then, we have military sociology. Okay? So, ito naman ay more on the military. How does the military will affect our society? Okay? Kapag mas hinigpitan ba ang implementation ng batas? Ano ba ang magiging response ng tao? Magre-revolt ba o matatakot tapos susunod? Okay, so yun ay pinag-aaralan dyan ng military sociology. Then we have psychology. Okay, so in psychology, it came from the two Greek Greek words ba to? Tama, Greek word psyche, nang ibig sabihin ay soul, spirit, and then logos, which means study yan. Hindi ko lang kung bakit naging ganyan. So, it is a study of the human soul, mind, and behavior ng isang tao. Okay? So, everything about the human behavior. Bakit ganyan mag-behave ang mga tao? Bakit may ganyang disorder ang mga tao? Saan nanggagaling iyan? Ano ang nagkukos? Ano ang nagtitrigger? Bakit may mga batang sobrang kulit? Bakit may mga taong sobrang malinis sa katawan? Okay? So, pag-aaralan yan, o pinag-aaralan yan in psychology. Saan nagsimula ang pag-aaral ng psychology? Okay, it started way back on the earliest time. Hindi ko na matandaan kung anong year iyon. Para sa mga sinaunang panahon pa. Okay, wherein people have this discrimination or identification to those people who are mentally disturbed. They term those people who are mentally disturbed as spiritually disturbed. What I'm trying to point out is, kapag ikaw ay na-depressed during their time, ikaw ay na-anxious, ikaw ay biglang nagsalita na lang ng mag-isa, tumatawa na lang mag-isa, nakakakita ng hindi nakikita ng ibang tao. Okay? Pag may mga ganun kang situation, katumbas iyon ng pagiging, ng pagkakaroon ng sapi. Okay? Ibig sabihin daw, during the earliest time, kapag may mga ganun kang simptomas, or meron kang problema psychologically, katumbas iyon ng pagkakaroon ng problema in spirituality. Meron dang evil spirit na nasa loob ng katawan mo. Kaya ngayon, ang nangyari dyan is kapag ikaw ay mentally disturbed, ikaw ay kinakategorize as a witch. At ang mga witches during that time, okay, ang ginagawa po nila ay sinusunog po nila ng buhay. Para mas maintindihan natin, o kaya, kasi noong mga panahon na nag-i-emerge kasi itong era na to, na kasabay din niyang nag-i-emerge yung era ng spirituality or sumabay din sa era neto, yung era ng pagtayo ng mga religious institutions. Kaya yung mga tao, they are very sensitive when it comes to spirituality. Okay, kaya kapag medyo nagkaroon ka ng psychological problem, they will consider you as a witch at susunugin ka nila ng buhay. Kaya ngayon, ang ginagawa nilang treatment dyan is they believe that our head is the master of our body. So, what they do is, para gumaling ka sa psychological problem mo, is binubutas nila yung ulo, na ang tawag natin ay trepanning, and they believe na kapag binutas yung ulo mo, doon lalabas yung masamang espiritu at magiging magaling ka na ulit. Okay, so gano'n ang ginagawa dati. So sipin nyo, no, kung hindi na-improve ang pag-aaral ng psychology, na-depress ka lang. Diba? Ano nang gagawin ng nanay mo? Halika na, punta tayo dun sa nagtetrepanning, pabutas natin yung bungo mo. Okay? Tapos pagbutas, walang laman. Hindi, joke lang. Siyempre may laman yan. Okay? So, next. Doon nagsimula ang pag-aaral ganun nagsimula ang era ng psychology during that time. And then, it followed by Sigmund Freud. Ito ay maraming henerasyon nang nakalipas. Okay? Biglang dumating si Sigmund Freud. Okay? Si Sigmund Freud, na ang sinabi niya is na ang cause daw ng behavior nating mga tao ay galing sa unconscious. Okay? Nagtataka ka ba kung bakit sobrang daldal mo? Nagtataka ka ba kung bakit mahilig kang magngat-ngat ng kuko mo, mahilig kang kumain? Okay, sabi ni Sigmund Freud, yun daw ay may, ang dahilan daw behind that is yung childhood mo. Okay, so, bibitinin ko muna kayo ngayon, okay? I-discuss natin yan sa mga susunod na araw. So, nag-arise din itong si Wilhelm Wundt. Isa siyang German psychologist na ang tawag natin sa kanya is the father of modern psychology because he was able to establish psychological laboratories, okay, for the psychologists to study deeper and closer on the behavior of the people. So, baka mamaya, anong laboratory ito? Hinihiwa ba yung balat? Hindi. Ito, nagtayo siya ng mga rooms. Okay, wherein doon, ino-observe niya, okay, kung ano yung behavior ng mga tao. Okay? So, anong mga subfields ng psychology? So, meron tayong clinical psychology, okay? So, in here, these people in clinical psychology, they find treatment for people na merong psychological disorders. So, basically, ang mga clinical psychologists, sila yung mga tumutulong sa may mga schizophrenia, may mga major depressive disorder, may mga panic attack, anxiety disorder, and so on. So, makikita natin ng mga clinical psychologists saan? Sa mga mental institutions o di naman kaya sa mga rehab. Yan. So, ang experimental psychology, ito yung pinaka nakaka-excite sa lahat, okay? Kasi dito, okay, nagkakaroon ng examination why learning takes place, how cognition takes place, how memory takes place, pero ito ay ginagawa as an experimentation sa mga tao, ay sa mga hayop. Okay? Pero minsan, ginagawa din ito sa mga humans, pero hindi kasi siya ethical. Okay? So, for example, yung aso mo, okay, try mo minsan, okay, kung may aso ka sa bahay ninyo. Kapag ikaw yung nagdadala ng pagkain niya at nakita ng aso na may dala kang pagkain, di ba nagsasalivate siya? Naglalaway siya. Ngayon, try mo, gawin mo siya ng 3 sunod-sunod na araw. Tapos, after ng 3 sunod-sunod na araw, magsuot ka ng certain na color ng, Ang gawin mo na lang is, magsuot ka nga ng certain na color ng t-shirt. Kunyari, color green, napili mo. Okay, so ngayon, habang nagbibigay ka, continuous yun, 3-6 na araw, okay, nagbibigay ka ng pagkain sa aso mo, habang suot-suot mo yung same color ng t-shirt mo. Ngayon, after such days, okay, or such weeks, okay, kapag ka nakita ka ng aso mo na nakasuot ka ng color green na t-shirt, or kahit na anong color green na suot, bigla siyang magsasalivate. Ang tawag natin doon ay conditioning. Kinokondisyon mo ang isang hayop, okay, or ang isang species to act in a certain behavior. Okay? Parang meron ata akong nabasang isang tweet ata dyan. Isa siyang psych major, tapos meron siyang crush. Ang ginawa niya is, every time na lumalapit siya sa crush niya, lagi siyang nag-aabot ng chocolate. So, ginawa niya yun ng mga ilang buwan. Ngayon, nagulat na lang siya, okay, paglapit niya doon, di siya nagulat, actually intentional yun. Ang ginawa niya, after some months, lumapit siya doon sa crush niya. Ngayon, habang lumalapit siya doon sa crush niya, grabe yung ngiti na abot hanggang langit ng crush niya sa kanya. Na-condition niya, okay, yung crush niya na maging masaya around her. Okay, so later on, yung crush niya naging boyfriend niya. Okay, so nakakatawa lang yung ganong instance, no, that you were able to condition someone's behavior towards you. Pero wag yung gagawin nyo, lalo na sa mga ganong instance, kasi hindi maganda ang mag-manipulate ng ibang tao. Okay, kasi ang pangit naman nun, no, minahal ka or kumbaga naging kayo not out of love but out of your manipulation. Okay, pero astig kasi it really works. Okay, nagwo-work talaga siya. Kasi ginagawa ko din siya dati. Okay? Anyway, so yeah. There we have the developmental psychology. So sa developmental psychology naman, okay, pinag-aaralan dito ang iba't ibang ways or iba't ibang behavior ng mga tao all throughout their developmental stage. So, from childhood to pre-adolescent ito. Okay? So, dito pinag-aaralan yung autism, paano mo aalagaan ng mga batang may autism. So, more on developmental siya. So, personality psychology, okay, so this is more focused on the behavior, traits, and character of a person. So, sa personality psychology, nakapaloob dito ang iba't ibang mga theories and principles that are related to someone's behavior and personality. And lastly, we have environmental psychology. So, it studies the effects of surroundings on a person's attitude and behavior. So, may epekto po ang environment sa pag-iisip po ng tao. Kaya nga minsan, there were some therapeutical treatments na for those people who are depressed, their therapist advised them to take care of a plant. Okay? Because somehow, it releases their stress or it releases their sadness and it gives them an accountability. Okay? Accountability to another species. At nare-refocus yung attention nila sa ibang tao, imbes na sa kanila. Okay? So, yeah. Yun ang mga subfields ng psychology. And last, nasa last na tayo, we have demography. So, sa demography, tatandaan nyo lang, pinag-aaralan dito ang human population. Okay, kaya nga galing siya sa word na demos and graphos, meaning the people, and charting or mapping. It studies human population. Okay, so paano siya nag-emerge? Okay, nag-emerge siya nung merong isang scholar na ang pangalan ay Cont'd. Si Cont'd po ay contemporary version ni Plato, na isang European philosopher. So, si Cont'd, nagkaroon siya ng isang idea na kapag lumago daw ang populasyon ng isang lugar, mas dadami o mas magiging mayaman daw ito. The more na nag-grow ang population ng isang lugar, nagkakaroon din ng economic growth, nagkakaroon ng strong political system, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so ganun, totoo nga, it makes sense, diba? Kapag maraming tao, maraming nag-iisip. Tama? Kapag maraming tao, marami din nagtatrabaho. Ibig sabihin, umaakit din ang ekonomiya. Okay, so yun yung point ni Cont'd. At kapag maraming tao, magkakaroon tayo ng malaking source pagdating sa military. Kasi marami tayong po pwedeng gawing sundalo. Pwede tayong, kung baga, presidente ka, pwede kang mag-require okay, sa mga citizens mo na mag-take ng military service. At kapag lahat ng tao may military service, marunong mag-survive sa isang gera, di ba magiging malakas ang military force natin? So, yun yung sabi ni Cont'd. Ngayon, exactly opposite ang nangyari in the reality or in the future. After the time of Cont'd, hindi ganon ang nangyari. Nung dumami at lumaki ang population ng mundo, okay, nagkaroon ng poverty, nagkaroon ng famine, or different problems na encounter ang mga tao. Kaya nga itong si Edmund Halley, alam nyo ba, nag-aral siya at ang pinag-aralan niya is the different instances on how do people die. Ayan. Pinag-aralan niya po ang iba't ibang death po ng mga tao. So, saang aspect usually namamatay ang tao? Sa stress ba? Sa gutom ba? Sa poverty ba? Okay? So, habang lumalaki ang populasyon, mas lalong nagkakaroon ng problema na nagiging sanhi din ng kamatayan ng ilan. Okay? Kaya nga itong si Thomas Malthus, sinabi niya na the more na lumalaki ang population, mas lalong umiigsi at nagiging limited ang resources natin. Ayan. So, in demography, okay, it highlights its main area of inquiry. Ayan. Na merong conclusion itong si Thomas Malthus na ang sabi niya is, tawag dito, never nag-descend ang population ng mundo. It will always arise. At nakakabahala yon. Kasi kapag nga lumalaki ang populasyon ng mundo, mas lalo nagiging scarce yung resources na meron tayo. The more na lumalaki ang populasyon ng mundo, mas nauubos ang syempre dumadami ang bahay. Tama? Kasi maraming tao, sa batitiraan tao, syempre sa bahay. Ngayon, kapag dumami ang mga bahay, yung mga subdivision, syempre, saan ba tinatanim ang mga subdivision sa mga palayan? So, nangyayari niyaan is umuunti ang ating mga crop resources. Umuunti ang ating kinabubuhay na pagkain, which is a major problem. Ayan. So, ngayon, meron tayong different variables in studying the human population. When we say fertility, ito ay birth rate. Yun. So, dami ng mga taong pinanganganak araw-araw per 1,000 people. So, kung makakakita kayo ng fertility rate ng 57%, yung 57% na yun ay in every 1,000 people. Hindi siya sa buong populasyon ng mundo, but it is in every 1,000 people. Kumbaga, it is just the estimation. Okay? Pag sinabing mortality, ito naman ay death rate in every 1,000 people in a population. Okay? So, migration, ito naman yung movement ng mga tao from one place to another. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng population growth rate. Okay? Population growth rate, kapag minus mo, okay, yung birth rate sa, tama ba? If it is a difference between the crude rate and crude birth rate and the crude death rate. So, for example, 57% ng ating birth rate, pero ang ating mortality rate ay 20%. So, i-minus mo 57 minus 20, ang resulta noon ay ang population growth rate. Okay? So, I guess that's it. Okay, tapos na po ang ating discussion for the whole week ng DISS. So, tapos na tayo in talking about the different branches of society or a social science. Okay? So, with that, if you have any questions, just wait for Thursday, or you could send me a personal message, okay, para masagot natin yung mga tanong ninyo regarding the module. So, with that, I will see you next week. So, goodbye and keep safe, everyone.